Before we talk about how to solve multiplication word problems, let's review our four-look strategy for solving word problems. Now, you may be thinking, I don't know what this four-look strategy is, and that your teacher may have taught you a different strategy, and that is okay. People use many different strategies to solve math problems. Maybe your teacher showed you the strategy called conquer the math problem, make a plan, or maybe they call it the four-square method. Most strategies for solving math problems are very similar in that it helps you think through the problem. Today, we're going to think through our math problem using what I call the four-look strategy. We are going to read through or look at each word problem 4 times. So let's talk about the steps to the four-looks strategy. So our first look is, what do you notice in the story? We want to pull out who is in the story. What are they doing? What question is being asked in the story? That is our four looks or our first read through. Our second look or our second read of our problem is that we want to determine what model could we draw to represent the problem. Our third look or our third read through is to solve the problem and then show how we can check our answer. Our fourth look, or our last read through, is to state in complete sentences how we know our answer is reasonable. Now, let's put our four-look strategy into practice for a multiplication word problem. Here is our word problem. Admission to an amusement park is $24 per student. Blackland Prairie Elementary plans on taking 260 students to the amusement park. How much would the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? So let's pull out what we notice in our problem. Who is in the story? So we know that our story is about 260 students from Blackland Prairie Elementary. And we can even highlight that in our story. Okay. We also need to notice, what are they doing? Well, every student is paying $24 to get into an amusement park. So $24 per student. And per means every student or one student. What is the question we need to pull out of our story? How much will the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? How much will the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? That is our first read through or our first look. Now let's do a second read through and take a second look at our word problem. Admission to an amusement park is $24 per student. Blackland Prairie Elementary plans on taking 260 students to the amusement park. How much will the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? So on our second look, we need to draw a model that could represent this problem. So from our first look, we know that there are 260 students going to the amusement park. So here is our first student and our second student, our third student. And because the problem is asking for 260 students and it's not feasible to draw 260 students, we're just drawing a representation of our story. We're going to label this one the 260th student. And from our first look, we know that each one of these students is paying $24. So this student is paying $24. This student is paying $24. This student is paying $24. And the 260th student is paying $24. What do you notice about our model or our picture? Do you notice that it is repeating? And we've learned from our last lesson that when things are repeating, then we are multiplying. This is our second look to our strategy. Now we're going to give our word problem a third look or a third read-through. Admission to an amusement park is $24 per student. Blackland Prairie Elementary plans on taking 260 students to the amusement park. How much will the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? So, we learned in our second look when we drew our model that we had groups that were repeating. And we learned in our last lesson that when we have repeating groups of the same number, then we are multiplying. So we are going to multiply 260 by 24 using the standard algorithm. First, we are going to multiply the ones place by each number on the top row. So 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 6 is 24. So we're going to put down the 4 and carry our 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 more, don't forget to add, 9, 10. And now that we are through multiplying by the ones place, we do not need it anymore, and we need to make sure we add a 0 in the ones place. So now we're going to multiply the tens place by each number on the top row. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 6 is 12. Put down the 2. We don't need this 2 anymore. We're going to carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Making sure we keep all our numbers lined up in the correct place value. So then we add 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 0 is 2. And 5 plus 1 is 6. So our answer to multiplying 260 times 24 is 6,240. Now, part of our third look is to do something that can check our answer. Most of the time, you would solve by doing the opposite, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So you may be thinking, ooh, I'm not very good at dividing. So another way you can check your multiplication problem is by multiplying using a different method. So we're going to check our multiplication answer by using the area model. So you take 260 and you break up the place value. So since 2 is in the hundreds place, that is 200. 6 is in the tens place, that's 60. And we have 0 in the ones place. And then on the side, we're going to break up 24 by its place value. 2 is in the tens place, so that's 20. 4 is in the ones place. And then we're going to multiply each box. So in this first box, we're going to multiply 20 times 200, which equals 4,000. Then we're going to multiply for this box 20 times 60, that's 1,200 or 1,200. And to multiply for this box, we're going to multiply 20 times 0, which equals 0. Then on this next row, we're going to multiply 4 times 200, which is 800. For this box, we multiply 4 times 60, that's 240. And then we multiply 4 times 0, which is 0. Once we have filled in our area model box, then we take all of these numbers and we line them up, making sure their place values are lined up, and we add them. And when we add them, we get 6,240. This number and this number is the same, so our answer is correct, and we checked it. That is our third look. So now let's do our last read-through and our fourth and final look. Admission to an amusement park is $24 per student. Blackland Prairie Elementary plans on taking 260 students to the amusement park. How much will the admission to the amusement park cost altogether? So our fourth look, you need to write in complete sentences how you know your answer is reasonable. So you're going to use your other three looks to write this reasonable answer. So you could write it like this. My answer is reasonable because there are 260 students and each student had to pay $24 to enter the amusement park. And the question wanted to know what the total cost would be. That's your first look. I showed through my model or picture that I was repeating groups of $24 260 times for each student. That's explaining your second look. I multiplied the factors 260 by 24 and got a total product of 6,240. And I checked my answer using the area model. And that is your third look. So your fourth look is your summary of how you know that your answer is reasonable. Now that we know how to use the four-look strategy to solve multiplication word problems, we're going to practice this strategy again in the next two videos.